Hey guys, it's Jess, and I wanted to share this card I made with you for Ranger. I actually shared this on the Ranger Project blog a while back, and I never actually shared the video for it. So I figured I would come on and post the video footage because I've had it all this time and haven't done anything with it. So if you want to check out the actual post where I guest designed for Ranger, I'll have that in the description below for you. Otherwise, sit back and we will see how I made this card. So to get started, I'm using the Simon Hurley Create dye ink pads. These are a really cool range of colors. There are 12 ink pads in the line so far. This is from the first and only so far release that there is from Simon through Ranger. I absolutely love these colors. They're so bright and vibrant. They're water reactive, which is super cool, and you can just do a lot with them. So here I'm just doing some ink blending, and I started out with the green color there. I'm going back into, so the first one was called Overzealous. Going in with the blue, now I've got my purple, which is Triple Berry. Their colors blend really super well together. I love having this range of colors, and I like that with these colors you can actually make like with the color line, you can make rainbows with only 3 colors. You don't have to have the whole line if you can't get it all at once. There's definitely options and different things that you can do with only a few of those colors. So I really like a line that's versatile that way. Now this is one of the Simon Hurley Create stencils. This one is called Backsplash, and I'm using it to overlay and spritz on some water. I'm using the Ranger Mister here, and this is just going to apply a bit of water so that I can get kind of like a ghost effect of the stencil once I spray that on. I'm being pretty liberal with the water, and then I let it sit there for a little while so that it can soak into the paper before I remove my stencil. Then I'm going to go ahead and blot it up with a paper towel so that you get that really cool lifted effect. So now that my ink blending is done, I can move on to the rest of my card. In order to make this a little more interesting, I did decide that I wanted to add a little bit of extra oomph with some enamel accents. Now these are essentially like an enamel dot that you can apply yourself to your project. You can just squeeze it right out of the bottle and form little dots. You can also put them on your nonstick craft mat and apply them later if you'd like to do that once they're dry. But for this, I'm actually going to be using them as splatter for my card. So what I do is I apply it directly to my craft sheet, and then I spray it with the water. When I spray it with the water, it does water it down quite a bit, obviously, and then I can use my splatter brush from the Distress line as well to flick on the little dots of the black and the white. So I started out with the white and went kind of crazy with that. I didn't have quite enough of the enamel dots on there, so I did go ahead and switch over to the black there. I did come back in with the white after the fact though, and got that taken care of. I wanted to make sure I got the black done before it dried out. So you can see there, it gives a really cool splatter with that brush. So the splatter brush is perfect for this kind of thing. And it looks like my tip was just a little bit clogged. So I went back in with my white enamel accents and I was able to get that done perfectly. I didn't want to water this one down quite as much because I wanted it to be very faint, but also I didn't want it to be completely translucent and water-like, because that would have added more spritzes and lifted areas to my card, and I didn't want too much of that. So I did some Copic coloring here with the cute little critters from the Trampoline Friends stamp set, and this one has the cute little dog that's jumping up off of the trampoline in the stamp set, and these silly little birds. I couldn't help but make them a little bit crazy. Their faces are so funny, and I laugh pretty much every time I see them. They're just so quirky and cute. But I just picked a couple different colors that I thought would go well with my ink blended background, and I did my trusty gray combination for the dog, and then I did go ahead and fussy cut those out as well, just so that I could apply them to my card. Now I wanted to add some contrast to my bright colorful card, and so I decided to pick up on the black splatters and go with a black sentiment strip. I went ahead and used my mini Misty here for this to stamp out the sentiment. So flipping excited for you because that's funny. I think that's funny, at least. So I decided to go with that. I used the Ranger White embossing powder for this. You're going to want to make sure that you do use an anti-static powder tool before you put on your embossing ink and then your embossing powder, so that the stray powder doesn't stick where you don't want it. And you can just use a coffee filter to pour the powder over if you'd like to prevent your desk from getting too terribly messy with extra powder. And then once you're done, you're just going to go ahead and melt that with your heat tool and you will be good to go. Now I did want to cut out my little critters and make sure that they fit the theme pretty well, so I've got them already cut out, but I wanted to make it look like the dog was hanging from one of the little strips, and so I went ahead and cut a little area or notch out under where his arms were so that it would look like he was hanging from the bar where it had, like, to the left of where it says "for you." I was really worried that I was going to chop off his whole body when I was doing this, but luckily I didn't. It was saved and it worked out really well. Look how cute he is. Okay, so the rest of the card is basically just trying to figure out exactly where I want everything to go and the positioning of everything. It did take me a little while to kind of figure out how I wanted things to go and exactly what order to put them in so that it kind of flowed the best. So I'm using my Ranger multi-medium in the matte finish. I can never remember if it's multi-matte medium or multi-medium matte. Anyway, it'll be linked below in case you have questions. But I had a blast positioning these little birds all over the place. Like that little green one that is upside down is absolutely hilarious to me. I don't know why it's so funny, but it is. And then I went to town putting a whole bunch of foam tape on the back of this to pop it up off of my card front. I did realize then that I forgot to trim my panel down, so I actually went ahead and did that. I don't recommend doing it like this. Definitely make sure you measure your card panel beforehand, because once you put foam tape on it, it's a little hard to get it to cut, but I made it work. So just peeling the backers off of that, and I will mount it to my card base, and that finishes off my card. Here's a look at the final card so you can see how it turned out. I hope that you guys love this card. If you do, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below to let me know what you think, and I will see you guys again really soon in another video.